By the end of this video, you should be feeling pretty good about your ability to start and maintain a garden. There are basically 10 commonly known steps, and I have an additional one that we'll be getting to very, very soon. It starts with deciding what your style is, and it ends with maintaining the garden. I'm Susie Dingle. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy these sorts of videos on design in the garden and you want to improve and enjoy your outdoor space, please do consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. There will be several on the design process. The critical step that I feel is missing is developing a relationship with your garden. So keep that in mind. And we're going to go through the 10 steps, only this time with a twist, with keeping our attention on the relationship aspects of it. So imagine that you are wanting to fall in love and live happily ever after. Starting with the first step, deciding your style. This is such an individual thing. There is no right or wrong answer, and there is no judgment here. However, be honest with yourself, because if you hold up you pretend to be someone that you're not, and you hold up a facade, it's very hard to do, first off, and facades usually fail, but primarily because there's only one of you and your garden, and we want to see what that is. I want to encourage you to just spread your wings and enjoy the process and dream big. This is the time when we dream about our ideal partner. The next step is to find the spot for your garden. Is that going to be a new house, or is it going to be just a corner of your garden that's already existing? No matter. You want to ask the tough questions. This is the time to find the right match. This is when you find Miss or Mr. Right. Okay? The more we ask the tough questions and take time to really evaluate this match, the easier it's going to be later on, and there'll probably be fewer surprises. The next phase is really, it's about the next 4 steps. It's really when we start to invest a lot of energy, time, money, and labor into the garden, and things get more real. And when the expectations go up, so does our desire to want to get something from our investment. So just keep that in mind and keep your expectations in check. The first step in this process is to clear the property that you've chosen. This can mean simply removing the grass or doing some groundwork. It's very important to keep in mind that soil is foundational. It holds everything up. It holds the plants and the animals. It holds us up. And it can be very significantly damaged by digging in it, especially when it's wet and especially with heavy equipment. So at this phase, I highly suggest you research it thoroughly and understand soil structure. You don't have to become a scientist in it, but just get a rough idea of what happens when soil gets compacted, because that could have long-term lasting effects. And like in a relationship, you want to lay down a good foundation that you can build upon. The next step is to, once you've cleared the ground, is to start implementing your vision. Now this is exciting and we all want to race ahead and get it done, but just take a moment to breathe and look at your design and visit it one more time for, does my vision, what I want, my desires, blend with the function of it? You may decide to put a patio in the far reaches of your property and then in the future regret that every single step it takes to get there and back, and maybe you'll stop using it. So instead of doing that and having regret for our decisions, just take a moment to check in with yourself and say, are my desires overriding the reality of this situation? Then after we've done our vision of our ground plane and we've implemented it, that's the time to improve your actual garden beds where you'll be putting your plants. The reason for that is it's very hard to come back in and do the hardscape after you've put in your garden beds. It can be messy and you can do a lot of damage to them. So the beds, improving the soil, that is really actually a lot easier than what it sounds. Garden beds in the soil changes pH over time and other factors can affect it, but it's always the right answer to putting compost, loads of it. And it's like love, it's always the right answer and it always helps. The next is another exciting phase, and that's picking your plants. This is like being pregnant. Have fun, enjoy this process, talk with as many plant parents as you can, explore and entertain every single name, paint the nursery 10 times if you have to. But just enjoy this process. This is the passion of gardening. A lot of gardeners start with the plants, and that's just fine. And then their vision grows from that. Whatever it takes, just enjoy this process. This is your time to really fall in love, truly fall in love with gardening. Next is to get those plants into the ground. Now, I have met a lot of gardeners, new gardeners, who are paralyzed with fear. That's totally normal, just like being a new parent. You're not really sure, are you going to do something right, wrong, affect the kid for life, whatever. But you need patience and forgiveness at this point, and you will get it over time. You're going to learn from your mistakes. Just be attentive and watchful. Look at what you're doing and how the garden is responding. And pretty soon you're going to be an expert in your own garden. Now we're at the long haul phase, and this can be the most frustrating, and it can make or break a relationship with the garden for sure. This is when we're really putting in the money and the time and the muscle, and things we did in the past come back to haunt us. Well, instead of having disagreements with your garden and having a lot of resentment, how about learning to compromise or just cut your losses? Because that's sometimes better to do than to string things out, the inevitable. You have to remove the tree. I've been there. I think there's probably every single gardener has had at least one mistake over time that they wish that they had dealt with sooner. Gardening is a journey that is so well worth taking, especially if you like a challenge and you like to grow. Now, I have a final tip on keeping the love life alive with your garden, and that is to have date night. Just kick back, don't even worry about any project that you have to do, and do some plant gazing. It really is the most wonderful way to keep your garden passion alive. Remember, in a relationship, we are not machines. We are alive. We have our own preferences, and there's a lot of competing voices out there in the garden, and they all have something to say. There's the soil and all the life in it, there's the insects and the birds and the plants, and there's you. So even the weather has a voice in all of this. From my garden to yours, I hope that your gardening journey is everything you want it to be. And until next time, I'll be dreaming of you in your garden. Bye.